Dickerson, and I'm the Curator of History for the San Bernardino County Museum. I've been with the museum for 5 years now, and I can honestly say that it's gone by so fast. I'm lucky enough to not only do what I love, but I also get to work with and make an impact on those living within our Inland Empire community, which is why I find my job so fulfilling and why I have a deep respect for the museum field. A little more about me. I've always been someone who loves history and who wants to learn more about the past because I believe that we have a better understanding of what we're doing and where we are if we know where we came from. I received my BA from UCLA in classical civilization. I was fortunate enough to study something that has truly fascinated me since I was a little girl, the ancient Greeks and Romans. It was this love for learning about past cultures that made me want to learn more about our United States history. So I did a year of post-bac studies at UCR, focusing broadly on American history from the colonial era to modern times. Then I attended California State University Fullerton's graduate program and received my MA in history with a focus on colonial America. It was during my time in graduate school that I was fortunate enough to get a job at the Mission Inn Museum in Riverside. I initially went into graduate school with the intention of becoming a professor. However, it was at the Mission Inn Museum that I found and I developed my true passion for museum work. In 2015, after having worked there for 5 years, I accepted the opportunity to begin working at the San Bernardino County Museum. I looked forward to the prospect of continuing to work in the Inland Empire region that I grew up in and that I love. I was also excited to have the opportunity to work with different communities and further develop my role as a museum curator. Now, having worked over 10 years in the museum field, I can honestly say that I learn something new every day, and I love developing my role as a curator as the museum field evolves and expands. I do get the question often though, what does a curator do? Well, let me show you. Collections work is a large part of my job as a curator. Because I work in the history division of the museum, I get the amazing opportunity to work with a vast array of different objects. I manage the museum's archival collections, which consists of any paper materials such as photographs, books, and artwork. I also oversee the museum's history artifacts, which are comprised of any three-dimensional objects, and they can be anything as small as a button to as large as the train in our courtyard. And this collection includes items such as typewriters, cars, and everything in between. Part of my responsibilities in maintaining these collections includes organizing and monitoring the collection's storage spaces and ensuring that each object is properly preserved. In this way, we can share these artifacts with our community and future generations in order to tell our region's story. We label each object with its own distinct number. This number ensures that each object's history and importance are retained and their unique stories are available for our community, both in research capacity as well as on display for exhibits. By preserving these objects, we are also preserving our region's past so that those living now and in the future can learn about the cultures, people, places, and history of this area. Exhibitions are one of the most fun and exciting aspects of my job. At the museum, we approach exhibit development as a team, and I work collaboratively with my fellow curators, our exhibits fabrication specialists, and the museum's director to plan, develop, and install exhibitions at our museum in Redlands, as well as our Victor Valley Museum in Apple Valley. Exhibits take a lot of work to research and plan, but it is always worth it in the end when the final product is finished, because then we get to share everything with our visitors. Exhibits allow us to show our visitors the unique cultural and natural history of our county, while also allowing us to tell stories of those who have made an impact on the region, both in the past and into modern day. The point of an exhibit is not just to tell a story, but to also immerse visitors into the exhibit itself. We do this in a variety of different ways, including having interactive parts to each exhibit, providing conversation spaces, and creating places for visitors to share their own story with us. The San Bernardino County Museum is a place where you not only learn about our region's history, but where we spark visitors' curiosity and inspire inquiry, all while having fun. Another interesting aspect of my job as a history curator is that I also oversee our museum's historic sites. The museum has 4 historic sites that are spread throughout the county. These sites include the John Raines House in Rancho Cucamonga, one of the oldest fired brick structures still standing in the county, the Yorba Slaughter family's adobe in Chino, which was first built in 1852 and 1853 and became the center of the Rincon area by the late 1800s with its post office, winery, dairy, and general store. Agamonte Cemetery in Colton, the oldest remaining cemetery in San Bernardino County and where some of the county's earliest residents and pioneers are buried, and the Yucaipa adobe in Yucaipa, built in 1858 by mountain man James Waters and one of the earliest residences in the Yucaipa area. Each of these places has its own unique history, and they all add to the collective narrative of our region. Additionally, each of these sites are either California State Historical Landmarks and/or on the National Register of Historic Places. It is a privilege to get to work with and preserve these gemstones of local history. Lastly, one of the most rewarding aspects of my job as a curator is my involvement in planning, developing, and executing public programs both at the museum as well as at our historic sites. In working collaboratively with the museum's education staff, as well as other organizations in our area, I have the privilege of helping to create fun and educational programs for those living within our community so that they can learn about the rich and diverse cultures and history of our region in an immersive and entertaining way. Our community partners are absolutely amazing, and they help us bring our region's history to life with such events as Old West Days, Sheep to Shawl, and Old Spanish Trail Day. Just this past year, we had over 24 community partners participate in our Old West Days event, helping us educate and entertain over 1,000 museum visitors. Here are a few things that our visitors got to enjoy thanks to our partners and our museum staff. And in doing these events, the staff gets to have a little fun too. Well, I hope that helps you understand more of what a curator does, and I hope it gives you some insight into why I love my job so much. I'm thankful for the opportunity to do work that I love, and I'm very grateful that I get to work with some amazing people, both within the museum and within our community, to help educate, inspire, and entertain our visitors. By taking care of collections, creating exhibits, and developing public programs, we can create a sense of community within our region and provide a space in which people can learn about the rich natural and cultural aspects of the place that we call home. Thank you so much for letting me share what I do, and the rest, as they say, is history.